There we go. All right, now I can hear myself. Is that picking up? Maybe. Robert, welcome. Can you hear me? Let me know in the chat because I am. Hello, Porkaholic. We can hear you. Perfect. Awesome. Yay. I am home finally. Oh my gosh, it was crazy getting home in a blizzard yesterday. But made it safe and sound. Hello, Charlie, Cam, Charlie. I am stoked to be home. I have Victor. What up? What up? I just got home yesterday from Georgia and it was snowing all day, and it's usually fucking gray and cloudy here in Washington. So when I woke up this morning at 5 because I was used to the East Coast time, it was sunny. Well, it wasn't sunny, but it was clear, I should say. The clouds were gone. I could see the stars and the moon. And as soon as it got sunny, I was like, oh my gosh, the sun came up. Let's do something outside. I think it was like a high of 20 degrees today, but me and my son bundled up and went sledding for like 3 hours. And I am so sore. Yeah, so while I was gone, Robert asks, how are the autoflowers? What up, Mike D? So I, you know, everybody says don't ever let anybody else take care of your garden. Well, that's true even when you get married. And yeah, I don't like how it sounds either. So, I'm talking to my husband on the phone every day and I'm like, okay, checking in on my autoflowers, right? Because they were pristine health before I left. Like I babied them, I turned them, bottom watering, was making sure that there's nothing, that they just were optimal. Well, he says, "Oh my god, they grew so much," when I like, a few days after I was there, and he's like, "Oh, they grew into the light, but I'm gonna fix it so they don't get burned." And I'm like, "Okay, thank you, thank you." And then, I come home and he didn't fix it. And so one of the plants got burnt on the top. It was just like literally touching the light bulb of the fluorescent. And then another one had just grown past the light and was wilted where it didn't have any light. So, and there was aphids because he has aphids in his garden, and aphids are on your clothes. There was no aphids before I left. So I'm like, how did this plant get covered in aphids in a week? And it's because aphids give birth to live young, for live young from the moment they're born. Fun times. Yeah. So as soon as I got home from the airport, I went inside and I looked at them and I was like, oh my God, my plants. So I adjusted the height canopy management and moved them around so that the plants that grew really tall got moved into an area where they weren't touching the light. And then I went through and I physically killed, we know who is sleeping on the couch. He says, we actually have our own bedrooms because I'm a princess and I need my beauty sleep. And he doesn't sleep very well. So I sleep with my son and he has his own room too. He must not be a smoker. Oh, he is. He smokes a lot of fucking weed. More than me. He smokes all day from the moment he wakes up until he goes to bed. I'm a light smoker. I mostly just take dabs and occasionally and my pen and edibles and tinctures. I love edibles. That's how you do it as well. Yeah, I mean, I love having a good night's sleep. And my husband has cystic fibrosis, so exactly. Let's go, husband. Amadeus says, at least he tried. Let's go, husband. And he gave you new content, how to deal with aphids. Yeah. And aphids ain't no big deal. When I started consulting back in 2018, 2019. That's when I started Queen of the Sun Grown, and it was really more of a consulting company at that point. I had just gone through the licensing process and I was the second licensed farm in Nevada County, California for recreational. And when me and my ex split, we had to sell the farm, and it was a stressful time, but I, transitioned into consulting and education. And the cannabis aphid came to was first spotted in North America in 2016. It came from India, and it first arrived in Oregon, and it slowly made its way down to California. And if any of you guys have been to Nevada County, it is basically from Truckee in Tahoe, which is where I lived before Rec. Tahoe for 8 years, snow bum. And then once Rec went, it made my medical cannabis business illegal. And so in order to stay legal above the board, I had to move my farm. And that's when I moved down to Grass Valley, which is still in Nevada County. That's what's so crazy is that legalization, and that's why we need to be really aware about this whole rescheduling thing, because rescheduling cannabis is going to change a lot of things. So if you guys don't know, cannabis is currently Schedule 1, so they say there's no medicinal value for it. And the federal government just released a statement that they would like to reschedule to Schedule 3, which is in line with like ketamine is Schedule 3. This would give the FDA, Federal Drug Administration, hi Steve, control and more. It's kind of a disaster. I really think that they should just deschedule. It's thank you, Falcon's Moon. It would make everyone have to register. It would be like creating a controlled substance in your own home. They're going to definitely go after home grow to try to stop the illicit market. Fuck that. I like to call it the traditional market. And yeah, big pharma will be able to take control of extracts. Yeah, exactly. They're trying to get rid of home grow. It's a disaster. So vote. If it goes to vote no. Tell everyone fuck no. Do not reschedule. It should be descheduled. This is a plant. It should be treated, if anything, like tobacco, which tobacco has medicinal value in some ways, according to there's some traditional uses, not like cigarettes, but like using tobacco, natural, just plain old tobacco. It should be in line with that. So yeah, share the word. They're going to try to, it's just to make money. It's a money grab. You know what I mean? Like, look at who makes the most money. You know what? During COVID, the largest transfer of wealth happened, and the most money, the most profit was ever made. And it was through pharmaceutical companies making the vaccination. Johnson and Johnson, all of those guys, they made shitload of money. So yeah, exactly. Petition to ban lobbying. Lobbying should be fucking illegal in the United States. It's one of my best friends is from Switzerland, and it's illegal in Switzerland or Sweden, sorry. And they have like 7 parties to vote from, and it's just like we are in this whole like team mentality in America. I don't fuck with politics. I'm not here to preach about one side or the other. I think that's 2 sides of the same coin, but we have rights as individuals, and for the government to be trying to reschedule so they can make money from pharmaceutical companies who lobby to politicians, and then while there's still people in jail for cannabis, and then come after home growers, fuck that. Spread the word. So back to the aphids. I don't even know how I got on that tangent, but that's how my mind works. That's going to be what my video is going to be on next Sunday. So I will show you guys a breakdown of treating aphids. They're really easy. IPM there's 3 pillars to IPM, right? So cultural, biological, and chemical. And so it's IPM stands for Integrated Pest Management. I have some great articles. Falcon Moon laughing. I have some great articles. If you guys sign up for my Patreon, there is a free tier. Like, sign up for the free tier. And then, because I was trying to figure out how, I don't know how to get like a link for my newsletter and subscribing. Like, if you go to my website, you can go on and subscribe, but I couldn't figure out like how to share a link for the subscription. But you can just do that, sign up on my Patreon for the free tier, and I post all of my articles that I write for Seedsman, the Humboldt Seed Company, and newsletter shit. So I wrote several articles on IPM and aphids specifically for Seedsman. And when I started back in 2019 consulting, that was the big thing in California was aphids, because they had just come to the area, and I fucking love bugs, and I like studying them and figuring out their life cycle, who eats them, how they die, how they reproduce, what they're attracted to. So I helped a ton of farms right away with not only licensing, paperwork, and all that bullshit, but aphid IPM management. So physical, cultural is like your practices. So the first rule of thumb is my husband shouldn't have been wearing the same clothes that he goes into his garden with around my plants, because aphids are so easy to jump onto your clothes and get a ride. Keep yourself, and most important, to your grow area. Exactly. What up, Macho Grams? Grams Bay Savage. I like that name. So that's your cultural pillar of IPM. You want to practice these practices. Everything has a purpose. Yes, exactly. That's a holistic the holistic view. That's what I like to teach. I'm a holistic gardener. I'm a holistic human being, because there's no right way or wrong way. There's just all these different ways to do things, and you have to take in the bigger picture. And the most important piece of your garden, what up 420 Shane, is you. The gardener is the most important part of the garden. So cultural pillar of IPM is just what you practice and how you treat your garden and what you do. And so that also includes physical removal of the bugs. So that's what I did. As soon as I got home, I was like, son, you got to play with your toys, because my husband wasn't home. It was a blizzard, and I just sat there and I killed aphids for probably like 15 minutes. And then I bundled up and freaking shoveled snow. We had like, probably only 8 inches in the driveway. It wasn't too much snow, but I was out there sweating, shoveling snow while it was still coming down for probably an hour until he got home. And then it was nice to see him after a week. And I got to tell him, what the heck did you do? Why did you bring what the I told him, I'm blaming you on my live stream on YouTube. I hope you know that. He's like, yeah, go ahead, blame me. I forgot. I didn't do anything. I did not do anything with them. So it's like you said, it's content. At least I have content for this Sunday's video, because if everything goes right, it's like, which is not life, right? That's a parallel. Life is not fucking smooth sailing. Things don't go as planned. And if you want to go on vacation and you want to go take a trip away from your garden, you have to expect to come back and fix some shit. That's one of the reasons why I don't really grow commercially anymore. After having my son, obviously we wanted to live up by my parents so he could be raised by aunts, uncles, grandparents, blah, 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 you know. But also because I love to travel and do things. And after 7 years of being married to the farm and having 5 harvests a year, it was like, I just wanted to, you know, enjoy all of the pieces of life, because I have a lot of hobbies and activities I enjoy doing, like sledding, and string man, beneficial bugs in the garden. So I'm torn about beneficials. So beneficials would be the biological pillar of IPM. So we've got cultural, biological, and chemical. And I love bugs. And so when you're buying a beneficial bug and you're putting it in your tent, you're basically sentencing it to die once it runs out of food. And you're also like, in my head, it's kinda like taking advantage of the insect. I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it, and that's just me. Like I said, before I got into commercial cannabis and, growing, like, I first and foremost, I'm an ecologist, and I love all animals, including pests and beneficials, because what is a pest or what is a weed, really? That's a perspective that we humans put on these creatures, and everything has intrinsic value simply for existing. um so I just have a hard time like buying beneficials that will end up dying in my garden, like indoors. Outdoors, I love beneficials. I plant the food that attracts them. Sweet alyssum does an amazing job of attracting parasitic wasps, hoverflies, lacewings, buckwheat, daikon radish, marigolds. All like plant a huge diversity of species, or look for the ones in your area, like what beneficials live in your region, your ecosystem, and what food source do they go after that's native. Native species are number one, and then planting. um Exactly. Weeds are early transitional plants. Weeds will tell you a lot about your soil too. Like which weeds you have will tell you a lot about, what's your soil lacking, or without even having a freaking soil test. If you learn to read your environment and your ecosystem and just do research, it will, like be in tune with nature. And yes, the handheld foggers. I have the Canifogger, which I was joking about last week. Like, what am I going to do with this thing? Because I have a backpack fogger, and um, I'll definitely use that. I'm gonna go ahead, and that Sunday video, I will spray them, show you what my simple recipe, just freaking Castile soap and aloe and yucca and alcohol. We'll see. I might not do alcohol because I have pistils and a little bit of flour. Um, so that's what the Sunday video is going to be, all about: removal of aphids, showing you them, talk about their life cycle, what consumes them. We did order, well, I didn't, my husband did. He ordered some ladybugs because he has aphids. I should say we have aphids in that room in the garage, but I really don't go in there. I don't, I order the supplies, the soil, the nutrients, check on it every now and then, give him. But we've learned after working together on a farm for 3 years, like I'm super bossy and particular about how, oh yeah, aphids have a ton of natural predators. Um, like hoverfly larva will eat aphids, ladybug larva eats aphids. They're voracious. It's the larva, not like ladybugs will eat some aphids, but it's really their larva. So you want to beneficial thugs. um Parasitic wasps will lay their eggs in aphids, and they will parasitize them, and then they are just like leftover mummies, and it's really cool. I have a picture of one, and I shared it in the Seedsman article. Help, I've got aphids. And let me see if I can just pull it up and share it in the chat, because that's a really great article for you guys to check out. I will, or maybe I can share it. I'm so bad about remembering all of the fucking links, and I'm trying to like have it organized so that I have um like my descriptions down. Like when I first started doing the YouTube thing, I didn't do any descriptions. I was like, a chat, me and Luna chatting or something, because I didn't know. And then I learned about hyperlinks or linking to all that shit. Now I'm trying to be better about it and save it. But let's see here. I am going to Seedsman, going to their blog, and I will share black soldier frass. Yes. Black soldier fly frass. Say that 5 times fast. So, um, beneficials, so that's your biological. And then I am a huge fan of entomopathogenic fungi. So I taught a class with Chris Trump. over the summertime. I did not do a good job of marketing it though, so not that many people even know that I did it. It's available on my website, the raw unedited recorded class. It's 3 hours, and it's the first time that he talks about online the IPMO that he discovered, which so if you guys are KNFers, I'm not particularly a KNFer. Like I'm holistic, you know. I dabble in a little this, a little that, but KNF's just not my jam, my expertise. So that's why I taught the class with Chris Trump. And IMO, indigenous microorganisms, that's what that stands for, but IPMO, indigenous predatory microorganisms. So have always used IPMO, but like just a purchased one, an entomopathogenic fungi. The species that I usually purchase is the Isaria famosa rosea. I did a couple of interviews probably talking about that with like Growcast and Green Table and Homegrown Helper. I don't know who, where, somewhere I talked about it. So basically this fungus, you use it and you spray it on your plant, and it needs a specific habitat, right, to sporulate and grow out the fungus, but it attaches to the pest insects and will basically turn them moldy, and the fungus grows on them and kills all of the aphids that way. It's slow, right? Think of fungus as a slow growing. So you really want to hit them multiple ways, right? That's IPM. Hit them where it hurts all over the place. But this entomopathogenic fungi, Isaria famosa rosea, PFR 97, and Cora, I think that they have like another one is Bavaria bassiana, which is Botanigard WP22 or something. You can get these things at Arbico Organics, and I really like using it because Yep, I use neem oil too. I don't use it in flower though, only in veg. And I use the Bavaria and I use the Isaria. And the thing is, though, you want to have it in the correct, like, think about what it is. It's a fungus, so it needs to have a specific set of parameters for it to survive and do its job. And I think that the issue with the Isaria for some people is that it is like it's kind of tedious, I guess, because, well, you know, some people just don't like to put in the work. I don't know. I really don't know. It just takes, like, you have to have agitation for 20 minutes in water that is like 70 to 80 degrees, and then the temperature should be the same, 70 to 80 degrees, like ambient room temperature, and then the relative humidity should be above 80 or 80 or higher. So usually at night when the evening spray, like I typically like to do, I would do morning and evening sprays for my outdoor. And depending on where you live, if it's hot enough at night, in California it was, in Oklahoma, like my clients in Oklahoma, I would send them, have him buy that. But so it has to work, right? You have to have the right environment. So then you can apply it, and you don't want to apply it when the bees are out because it can kill bees. So you want to wait until the pollinators go to sleep, but it's pretty easy to tell. And then it's great indoor to be able to do it inside when you can control all of those things, or you have to live in an area that has those environment for it to really work efficiently. And then but my go-to aphids are pretty easy to kill, especially in veg, because you can spray them with alcohol. So a quarter cup alcohol in a gallon of water with a couple tablespoons of Castile soap. Peppermint is my choice in veg because peppermint is in a ton of IPM products, like fucking the Crop Defender from Petra, and the what is that one? Plant Therapy. I mean, even fucking Canitrol from Mammoth P or whatever. Like, they charge so much for that Canitrol, and do you know what's in it? Thyme oil. So that's why polyculture is so like it's so important because you can create a culture or a biology in your garden of diversity that contains the compounds that prevent or like, don't attract pests, but you can also attract them with different plants, which I've learned the hard way. So you gotta do a little bit more research and understanding of that ecosystem. And um, yeah, it's great. So I'll go into the nitty-gritty of that on my Sunday video. I don't wanna give it all away because what am I gonna do on Sunday? Am I drinking chamomile tea? I am drinking, yes, chamomile and, let's see, what can you see? It says, "Be the change you want." Thank you for being the change, actually. That's what it says. Everyone, thank you guys. Every one of us can do a little bit of something to make the world a better place. And it is chamomile, and I have another bag in there of the Bengal spice. I can't remember that company that makes it, but I love the Bengal spice. It's so good. Um, I am feeling so much better. I caved and I did take the antibiotics, which, you know, everyone should. It's there for a reason when you have to. I'm just like paranoid about antibiotics because I love my microbiome. But I've been drinking tea. Tea doesn't have anything in it, but kefir, and um, it's still, you know, I still have a little bit of a sore throat. But how did you know? Did you say Canatrol? Yes. Thank you. Thank you. I'm feeling so much better. And that's good to know. Yeah, chamomile is a medicinal plant. There's so many benefits to it. So, um, and blue lotus is the one that I love. I actually posted about that on my Instagram story today. If you guys haven't tried blue lotus, check it out. It grows in Egypt along the Nile, and it is. I used to drink this in Nevada City, my favorite city in the whole world. I love Nevada City. Miss living there. Um, they have a place called the Elixart, and they serve all medicinal, you know, drinks, elixirs. I don't drink alcohol very much, like really very, very rarely. I don't like how it makes me feel. I want to make the day my bitch. I want to wake up ready to go, action. I don't like feeling slow or inhibit, like it's just not my thing. But I like to go out and have a drink, you know. So they have elixir bar, and they had a blue lotus CBD, they have mushroom drinks, they have kava, they have coca leaf. Man, that gets me going. I love drinking kava. They've got kratom margaritas. I love the kratom. Entheogenic plants in general, I just really enjoy. Um, and the blue lotus and CBD is so relaxing and nice, and it gets you vibing, and you will have the wildest dreams if you drink blue lotus tea. The like pharaohs, I don't know what they're called, like the wise men, or you know, I can't, the words eluding me. They would drink some of that um to promote visions and stuff like that. And then Staying Man says Canatrol is my dry and cure box it. Perfect dry and cure every time. It's a little pricey, but it works spot on. Love mine, said it and done. Canatrol, isn't Canatrol like the from Mammoth P? I'm talking about a specific product that's just thyme oil. Maybe that's not the right name and I'm just fucking it up. Yeah, the priests. There we go. Yes, that's what I'm talking about, Solomon, the priests. And Falcon Moon says, do you have any experience with arbor bio insecticide and fungicide? I don't. I read that as Arbico Organics, and I do. I love them. They have all kinds of great organic pesticides, beneficial insects, nematodes. I get my nematodes from there, y'all. But yeah, Blue Lotus is good. If you haven't had it, check it out. Or Kratom. Kratom's fucking great. Okay, so I can't find the article on aphids, so I'm sorry, guys. I don't know. I don't know why, but when I type into the Seedsman blog, nothing shows, or nothing works in the search. So that's my Seedsman link. If you can find it, good luck. All right. Let's talk about this weekend's class because like I said, I'm not the greatest marketer. So I'm trying to get it out there that I am doing a class this weekend with Purple Caper. Every student who signs up for the live class will get what up, Midnight Samurai? Yo, yo. Midnight Samurai makes amazing products that I actually use for IPM in my garden. And we were talking just earlier, what up, KOTS, about the aphids. And so he sends me his JWA, which is the Jadam wedding agent, and the sulfur. Obviously, can't use sulfur in flower, but the JWA, I'll use some of that. So another sneak peek into Sunday's video. And yes, he's going to be in the class on Sunday. I'm really excited. Class link, I will drop it in here as well. So everyone gets free seeds from Purple Caper. Purple Caper is what up, T-Mac? He is one of my mentors he's the one who taught me how to, or I don't know, like not how to, because obviously I knew how to, but who encouraged me to plant my cannabis in the ground. I, had been an indoor grower for the first year growing up in Tahoe. And then when we had to move our farm, I had bought clones of his from, if any of you guys are from California, I think it was Dark Heart Nursery. Maybe not Dark Heart. What is the other one? Yeah, it was Dark Heart Nursery. So they carried clones that were purple caper, and I would buy them down at Harborside. Yo, Harborside. That's in Oakland. It's a dispensary. I think Oaksterdam was there or affiliated with Harborside. That's where I used to sell a lot of weed and oil to Harborside, and I'd get my clones there. And those were the good old days. You just bring a suitcase full of weed and just drive around to the dispensaries and be like, this is what I got. This is how much I want for it. And then they'd say yes or no, and then just hand you a fat stack. I was like, oh, this is just so easy. I loved medical Prop 215. Man, if you live in a state that doesn't have recreational and has medical lenient laws, don't go rec. Stick as long as you can to those medical. I wonder if you guys can hear my son screaming with joy. It's with joy. So if you do hear him, it's not negative screams, it's happiness. So Purple Caper, I would buy his clones. I think the first one I bought was the Blackberry Fire. What's up, cat lady? Only a little. That's life. So I bought the Blackberry Fire, and it was fire. And I grew it indoors, and then I grew it outdoors, and it turned beautiful, even purple outside in the fucking heat of. I lived closer to outside of Grass Valley at that time, my first farm down there. And if you haven't watched the commercial that Cat Lady made for me of my episode of me and Purple Caper's podcast episode we did together, you have to listen to it. He says fire like 15 times, and she cut it all up out of the interview and made a compilation of him saying that was fire. Anyway, I don't know how we were both working with Dark Heart at that point, I think. So Dark Heart had reached out to me once medical went rec and asked if they could meet our farmers or meet the farmers who are growing, like the licensed farmers who are growing Dark Heart genetics. And not necessarily their genetics, but their clones. And so I was doing like strain reviews and reports for them. And that's kind of how actually I had bought seeds from him. Originally, I reached out to him because we were getting licensed, and I was like, yo, we've grown this Blackberry Fire, the cut from Dark Heart, love it. Can we get seeds? And he actually was like, yeah, let's meet up. I'd love to meet you in person. So I went and had food and drinks with him down in the Bay Area, and he brought shitload of seeds, and we just sat for like hours, and he told me the story of every single seed, what he like, all of the background, and I just had such a wonderful time with him, and we've become close friends since then. Um, he was like, plant in the ground, girl, like fuck the potting mix, fuck the big pots, like the bigger the roots, the bigger the shoots, the bigger the fruits. You want to grow big plants, get rich organic matter in your native soil. Like he's like, I grew up poor. You can't afford that. You just put it in the ground, fill it with, put some fish carcasses in there and use some dry amendments, some aged manure, compost, and you're golden. Your plant knows what it wants. Just give it that organic matter. And me and my ex argued over this. He was like, "No, we're planting in Roots Organic 707, and we're using." He was a salty boy, so his line of choice indoors was Advanced Nutrients. Um, and he did acquiesce for the outdoor. He said that as organic as we would get was Nectar for the Gods. But it's basically a hydro setup outside. And you know how many times you have to fucking water in 100 degrees with Roots Organic 707 in a 400-gallon smart pot? It was so stupid. It was so dumb. Thank God I didn't marry him. And I remember just talking to Frank, Purple Caper, on the phone, just shooting the shit about legalization, recreational, the direction of cannabis in our country, planting in the ground, living soil, but it wasn't called living soil then. Living soil is like a fucking marketing term that people just use now. It's just like gardening. Woo, like regular ass gardening in the ground using the nature as it was intended to grow plants the natural way. But what's the best companion plants? Buckwheat, daikon radish, sweet alyssum, marigold, sunflowers, and native species, whatever native species are endemic to your area that attract beneficials. I'll grow anywhere you want to grow. Thanks, T-Mac. So that first summer that I was solo growing, I moved up to the ridge and I grew my plants in the ground, and I was living in this studio above a garage on this farm with 2 greenhouses, and they had probably 30 outdoor plants, and I'm like, yo, can I just have my little patch of outdoor? So I had 3 outdoor plants, and I got more weight off of my 3 outdoor plants than they got off their 30 because I planted in the ground and I babied them and I gave them so much love, and I was allegedly getting way better prices too because their shit did not turn out very good, and they were just growing in smart pots. No, I love smart pots though. Like, as a company, they're great. They're good to me. They send me free stuff, so I can't hate. But if you're growing outside, plant in the ground if you can. Porkaholic says, I'm from a warm region with around 12-12 light cycle year round, and I grow outdoors. Had decent success with autos, but photos flower too early. But landrace photos grow great. What should I grow? Yeah, you should grow things that are equatorial strains, right? 12-12 is closer to the equator, so you're definitely going to want to go for equatorial strains. And what does that mean, Midnight Samurai? Plus they had more overhead. I don't know what you mean. What had more overhead? Like costs of doing business or things over them? Oh, look at that's so nice. Midnight Samurai is saying that he'll send Porkaholic some Brazilian seeds. Yeah, basically, look at the lineage. So I can't remember, seedfinder.eu or something, I think is the website where I typically look up my genetics lineage. They do a pretty good job of showing you can type in a strain and look at their lineage and the indoor newt growers. Oh yeah, I know exactly. It costs too much. Sustainability is also about cost. You guys, how much it cost you. That's a big part, right? The gardener is the key. the special sauce to all of this. Is like you are at the heart and soul. You are the one doing these things, so it needs to be jiving with your life. So that website I just sent you, seedfinder.eu, they have 31,497 different cannabis varieties, a database. So you can look at the lineage and then kind of like go through and try to find things that are, that have equatorial landrace in them. And then maybe, maybe you come to the breeding class this weekend, Sunday, use code holistic for 20% off, and you can make your strain specific to your environment. That's the cool thing about breeding for yourself, is that you, especially if you're breeding outside, those plants pass down genetic information from the environment that they're produced in. It's amazing. I love growing from seeds outside. It's just such a wonderful, magical experience. And I'm really excited to learn more from Purple Caper about breeding, the ins and outs, what to do. I have so many questions for him, like when to pollinate. How should we be like, is self-pollination better than just like collecting pollen and pollinating them? Because last year I played around outside and I left a male out with my females because I wanted to produce seeds and start this whole journey of breeding, because you can breed strains, cultivars specific to you, right? Like, what do you like and what area you're growing in? Like your 12-12 light cycle, you can start growing things that are based in an equatorial strains or lineage, and that will do well. Or like, for me, I'm up by the Canadian border. I'm trying to find things that that will flower a little bit earlier, because my shit took forever to flower, and I'm in zone 6B, which might have changed now to 7A, because I know that the USDA hardiness zones changed half a zone this year because of climate change. And we're not getting into politics here, but the climate is changing. Whether or not that is man-made or not, it doesn't really matter. It's changing. So I want to create a strain specific for my area. And blueberry muffin is one of my favorites. I just love it. It's such a great, funny, giggly high. It's light and euphoric. I love linalool, the terpene that's really high in that strain. And I just get so creative when I smoke blueberry muffin. So I'd love to do something with that. It's also a really short flowering time, which is going to be great for breeding up here. Because the farther away you get from the equator, the longer the days are, the shorter the nights, and the length of the night is what triggers you into flower. So if it's days light, very late in the season, you're not going to flower as early as you would closer to the equator. Like he said, Porkaholic was like, it's going into flower too early, right? Because here's another thing. Porkaholic, try seeds that are started. I don't know if you did this, but try to start your seeds outside. Never have them under any artificial light. This is something that a lot of people will get their seed plants will go into flower too early if they start their seeds inside under artificial light and then move them outside. They're just a lot more sensitive to any kind of change in light once they have a specific set time. Like, you need to be changing the light cycle inside if you want them to get acclimated to outdoor life, because outdoor life, the light cycles changes every single day. It changes a little bit, right? So Arctic Chills says, if I have worms in my grow bags, should I be using teas still, like compost teas? I don't use compost teas, to be honest with you guys. I use compost as mulch, and I just apply compost to my why am I going to brew it? Why not just add it in there? Because there's so many amazing things about the compost itself. Like, unless I'm running short on funds or compost and I need to make it go further, but most of us will have like a few pots or a few beds. Like, hopefully you can make enough compost, or you're buying it bulk and you can just put compost on your pots, because compost has it's a ton of organic matter, a lot of carbon. It helps hold on to moisture. It has all of the bacteria and fungi and protozoa and nematodes in it that um, you're trying to extract in a tea. And when you do a tea, you're going to lose microbial diversity, because as you limit their food source in a container and then bubble them and grow them out, the opportunistic species are going to outnumber and consume the species that aren't as suited for a tea environment. So why not just throw the compost? Yeah, but you're multiplying only the opportunistic species. If you look at the diversity under a microscope, you lose diversity. You'll grow more microbes, but there'll be less, and there will be more total population, but less species. Diversity is key. So I think that having a diversity is more important than a lot of one variety, right? Because you just get this boom and bust, and when those species are consuming each other, they're doing all of these things that are producing enzymes that are unlocking and solubilizing your nutrients. So the act of them killing and doing all of that in your soil is beneficial as well. So yes, I have a bokashi composting system. I love it. If you guys don't know, bokashi composting is like a really quick. It's like using fermented Midnight Samurai. He did a video for us and showed us how to make it. And I have the recipe on my Patreon. Y'all should check it out. You can make your own bokashi grains, or you can buy. I got a system sent to me from SD Microbes, so I have like the air exchange sealable lid thing, and they sent me a few bags of bokashi grains. So yeah, good fungal addition too. It contains yeast, it contains a lot of different, microbes, but let me catch up in the chat. What else did I miss something? I have 22 little babies. I plan on open pollinating F2 and have many questions for this weekend. Yes, I know. I have my F1s now, I guess you'd say, filial generation 1 of purple ghost candy from Seedsman Genetics that was pollinated with a cherry Charizard, which was like I don't remember all of the things in it, but I'm excited for it. Also crossed it with the strawberry banana grape from Seedsman. And then after I did all this, somebody told me that Rusty Nails, you haven't joined the cult. Yeah, I'm not joining the cult either. I like to variety. I get bored following one thing and doing one thing. That's why I have so many hobbies. A lot of the anaerobic will die off when you bubble. This is what Midnight Samurai says. Yeah, so I just don't aerate my tea. I don't. I'll do maybe an extract. Or if I'm looking for a specific species for IPM protocol, like I do a tea of bacillus. I bubble 5 different species of bacillus, 5 different species of trichoderma. Those are proven, and this is part of that IPM, the biological, right? Entomopathogenic fungi are part of that. But bacillus and trichoderma, there's so many varieties, and they are really great at outcompeting other pathogens. So they do really good against botrytis and PM. And so you can spray them through flour because it's just a microorganism. And then when you're not using, like I just have literally those bacteria and fungi in a bottle. And then I bubble that and grow them out with a little bit of food source, yucca, of course, because it's clean, clear. It's not going to leave a residue. It's full of polysaccharides and simple sugars for the food for the bacteria. So yeah, I spray that through flour. Works great. Rusty Nails says he's fed last night with casting extract. Just stirred for about 15 minutes and add some labs. Yes, I'm all about the extract. Yeah, extract versus tea, which is so funny because you would think like a bubbled tea would be an extract and vice versa because like, you know, I'm not gonna bubble my cup of chamomile tea for 24 hours. I always thought that was funny. It's like, why isn't extract like tea? You know what I mean? Like, maybe that's just my head. Um, and Rusty Nails says he heard that other fields looked at a rice collection and identify most of it as rice mold. You can get that in the back of a dorm fridge. LOL. Yeah, I don't do an IMO. I just use compost because I want that diversity. And you're exactly like when you think about ecology and ecosystems, when you have a environment or an ecosystem and you have a food source, you're going to attract what consumes that food source. So it's going to be a more limited um, diversity in species when you're doing an IMO versus compost, which is going to contain a wide variety of organic matter. And then not only are you getting the microorganisms that are way more diverse in compost, but you're also getting humic and fulvic acid. Which increases your cation exchange capacity. Like I said, just the organic matter in itself added to your soil is going to help with water retention. Adding it just does so many amazing things. So I don't use IMO, but and then my IPMO that Chris Trump made, it was just all black. And I was like, I am not spraying that on my plants. Like, yeah, we use insect frass in it, but I just black mold. I was like, no, I'm not gonna spray this on my plant. I'm not gonna risk it for the biscuit just because it's I don't know. I don't know what's in there. I don't know, and I didn't. Just didn't use it. And Rusty Nail says that local angelic root. Um, I don't know what that means, but I got potatoes and leaf mold. Yes, I love leaf mold. Leaf mold is just basically a pile of leaves. You leave it for a year, and you're going to have a lot more fungal activity than a traditional hot compost. That's why I love the Johnson Sioux bioreactor. I actually have a whole class on my website on composting, winter soil wellness, because composting is a great thing to get started in the fall and apply in the fall. So I think I did that one in like October or something like that. But I talked about all of the different ways of composting. I'm a huge fan of composting. Some of my first classes that I ever taught before cannabis teaching, I was a master gardener at UC Davis or through UC Davis, and taught worm composting to kids at the fair. And it was so fun. But Johnson Sioux bioreactor is a type of composting that combines the benefits of thermophilic composting and static slow composting. So bacteria are primary species in an ecosystem. They're the first ones to move in. That's why when you see like disturbances in the soil, a lot of the times like road grades, you'll see species like legumes, hairy veg, lupin, and that's because they have that relationship with rhizobia, the bacteria that fixes nitrogen and stores it in the root nodules. And when you have a disturbance like fire or road grading, you're losing a lot of organic matter and nitrogen. And so the bacteria come in first, and they are with that primary ecosystem. And as your ecosystem ages and evolves, then you have more fungal dominance coming in associated with trees. And so with compost, a thermophilic pile is, you can make it in as little as 4 to 6 weeks, whereas leaf mold and Johnson Sioux takes at least a year to produce. Leaf mold, I think, is supposed to be 2 years. Johnson Sioux is like a great intermediary between the two types of composting because you build this palette, and like I said, I have a class on it. Well, it's all different composting in the class, but you build like this circular bioreactor to put your organic matter into, and then you put pipes down the center with holes in it so that you're getting oxygen, because that's like what speeds up the process of thermophilic is you have to keep moving it and agitating it to introduce oxygen. And versus a leaf mold pile doesn't get oxygen because you're not moving it. It sits for 2 years. So this is like a combination of static and thermophilic, and it makes really great compost, super biologically active, and has a ton of fungal hyphae because you're not touching it, you're not moving it to oxygenate it. And so fungus doesn't like tilling and moving, right? That's why we know till ag to have a myceliated soil. And this is a great option for a really nice, robust compost that has, fungus that is later in its life cycle and able to form hyphae. All right, let me look at the chat. Jadam has a good compost tea if you need to stretch it out. Boiled potatoes and leaf mold for 36 hours. Nice. 1 drop of each, double D. I believe in worms and all that comes with them. Yes, worms are amazing. Worms are great. Worms are my friend. Worms have 7 hearts. They breathe through their skin. They're hermaphrodites, but they need another one to reproduce. Their eggs are called cocoons. They can live, red wigglers can live to 30 degrees Fahrenheit, up to 120. I know this because I accidentally left my worm bin in a black tote outside all summer under behind my house, and they survived. Arctic Shill says, do you eat your cannabis leaves in like smoothies or salads? I have heard of that, and yes, you can definitely do it. It's really healthy for you. I have been slacking on juicing and smoothies for a long time. It's so cold here. And ever since I've had a child, I just don't take the time to like juice. It's just such a mess and takes forever. And I feel like maybe when definitely get back into it. I borrowed a juicer from my mom and I wanted to, but when I have a little bit more time, I'll probably prioritize juicing more and using the cannabis leaves. Rusty Nail says top dressing with castings can make the soil heavy, so the quick extract makes sense. Yeah, it definitely depends on what type of soil you are using. Outdoors in native soil, it shouldn't make it too heavy to just sprinkle top dressing of compost on there. But if you're using potting mix, not soil, which all bags soil is potting mix, it's just the organic fraction of soil. Soil is 45% minerals. That's not what our bag comes in a bag. If we had real soil in bags, it would weigh like a shitload. Let's see what else. If you make and bottle IMO in say Florida and ship it to California, is that still IMO? Shit, I don't know. IMO, I don't know. Midnight Samurai, have you ever looked into forced air composter? I have not. Rusty Nails, WCA eggshell vinegar calcium is a great additive to RO to give it a buffer. Cool, good to know. I have the eggshell vinegar calcium, and that's what I was planning on doing for my next video on Sunday, but now I have aphids. I've got to fucking deal with that shit first. And then maybe I'll throw in some WCA into the spray. Might as well, right? And what's up, Stephen Link? Good evening. Weed Rockstar Girl. Thank you. What's up new in the chat? Check us out at Mr. and Mrs. Autoflower. Can't wait to learn from you. Going outdoor this year. Needed knowledge. Hell yeah. You're going to love it. I fucking love growing outside. I am not an indoor girl. I love being out in the sun and the wind and the bugs and having flowers and other plants and things to nibble on around me. Victor says it's going to be a good year. You've got wood chips. Wood chips are amazing. Let them sit. Though they contain lignin. So if you, like I was saying, you want to promote whatever species you want to promote, you need to learn about it. What does it eat? What kind of environment does it like? So like that entomopathogenic fungi I was talking about earlier, like you want to give it the resources available or the environment to have it grow and thrive. And so wood chips contain a ton of lignin, which is what fungus love, they like to consume. Think about where a lot of fungus grow out of trees or roots of trees, decaying trees. You can grow wine cap mushrooms really easily, which are a tasty treat in your garden. You can inoculate all of your wood chips with edible mushrooms. And I know that the wine caps do really well in them. So then you're just like doubling up, right? And that's the whole point of like regenerative and closed loop and sustainable farming, is like to stack your layers, your systems on top of each other. So you're getting more out of it and doing less work. Like, I mean, maybe not less work. It's actually like labor intensive to do organic and regenerative, but it's worth it. So stack your systems, get as much out of it as you can. And Rusty Nails says his worms get all of his trim and such, so it goes back to the plant. Hell yeah, exactly. I killed my worms. There's too many flies, and so I put them outside, and they're in the freezing cold, and I'm gonna have to start over. So Ian didn't follow IPM Monday. No, he didn't. He doesn't follow anything I say. He just says yes. He agrees. And then he'll do it if I tell him and remind him and like make a post-it note and then write it on the whiteboard, and or if there's a problem. But he's not about that oh, thank you, Arctic Chill. Wow, I just made my first $5 on YouTube, you guys. This is like, oh wow. I just got monetization and I didn't know how that would work. Thank you. I appreciate that. Woo! I'm gonna do a little boo 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 boo. So yeah, it's okay. I love him. And that's why we don't work together on the farm anymore. No, I'm just joking. That's one of the reasons, though. It's not good for our relationship for me to be fucking. I bet YouTube gets $4.99. I got 1 cent. Oh well. Yay! I love that Steven liked it so much. He made calendar events for IPM Monday, Tea Tuesday, and Full Year Fridays. That's amazing. I love it too. I write it down. I love making calendars and like, what are those, like little calendar books? I love decorating them and writing it all down and being like, oh, I used to have like a journal for the farm and write down every single thing, like water 250 gallons of, and all of these things. And first, it was this temperature, low, high, low. I would just collect all of this data so that I could look back. And when you're farming outside, it's good to have that. And then when you write things down like that, you can, if there's any kind of disturbance in your plant, like, oh, maybe there's some spotting or some burning, you could be like, oh, well, maybe I sprayed too late in the morning, or there's some phytotoxicity because I forgot that I had sulfur on there and I just sprayed neem oil and now I've got burning from whatever. You can look back in your journal if you don't have a spot on memory. It's just good to have that. So Golden Roberts, you and your wife do everything together, and growing really helps us come off bad opiates and focus on something else, a routine. That's amazing. I love to hear that. I'm giving a heart. And I love growing with my husband too. Well, I like him doing like the shoveling of the compost for me. And no, I'm just joking. I don't mind some hard work. I'll shovel some compost. Rusty Nails says, I like that none of this is about I'm a girl that grows weed. It's about darkness, period. Darkness, yeah. I don't know what that means, but I like it. Hell yeah. I am a girl. Well, I think I'm a woman at this point. I'm 32, but started from the bottom. Now we here. Golden Roberts. That's hilarious. Yay. Thank you, Adam Gale. I'm stoked. And to everyone who's been buying classes, like all this whole live stream, people have been buying classes to this weekend's class. And I'm like, I've gotten like 4 class sales just since we started this. So thank you guys. Dankness. It's about dankness, not darkness. Dark like our hearts. That's what I was thinking. The dankness, yeah. But yo, live, what up, Dino North Troll? I'm a troll. I'm the toll troll. Can't pass my bridge without paying the toll, troll. Speaking of, I got a troll. I just wanted to bring her out tonight just to say hi to everybody because I really am gonna start making videos with my new puppet, but I haven't yet. And isn't this cute? And it has hands, and I just love it. Okay. I just had to bring Greenie Jean, the little weed nug, out for a second because she looks kind of like a troll, and your name's Troll. All right, so thank you guys for buying tickets to the class. Let's review the class. What are we going to learn? All about breeding with purple caper. It's like I have so many questions for him, like about pollination, collecting pollen. I have all these seeds I made this past summer, and I am like, time to go. T Max, like, I gotta get out of here. The weed monster's on. Kind of creepy. It is a little creepy, but I like a little creepiness. I'm a creep. So I haven't harvested the seeds. I made all of these seeds in this fucking giant ass weed plant. Like, it was a 12-foot tall weed plant. I had 3 of them. Well, I had 4, but one of them got fusarium because it was planted in the shade where it never dried out, and I overwatered it one day, and then it got root rot, and oh god, it's awful. So I lost that whole plant. It was like 12 feet tall. Actually, I had one branch that lived that was connected to a root zone that didn't have root rot. And that's the amazing thing of being able to observe the vascular system of your plant and how it's connected to specific roots. And so I can't really plant anything in there because I'm going to treat it. I'm not going to plant anything in there next year. I'm going to do like the trichoderma and the bacillus blend and sulfur, elemental sulfur in there, and really just try to let it be, and maybe plant some cover crops in there just for fun. Unless I move, which would be great. I would love to move. Oh yeah, Rusty Nails, get some grade school horticultural type curriculum requirements and make videos that could be used at schools. I know. That's what I was thinking with Greenie Jean, is like for teaching my son and doing like a little kids section on the YouTube that's like all about gardening. And then because you know what? Kids watch fucking YouTube more than anybody else. Like my son, I fucking hate YouTube for my son because he's like, I want to watch silly cat videos. Silly cats. And then somebody puts on YouTube for him, and then it's like a never ending, like, oh my God, I have to find another fucking silly cat video on this stupid fucking, no offense, YouTube. Thank you for the $5. Don't take it. Have you or do you grow any type of mushroom? Yes, I do grow mushrooms on occasion. I have a class on my website as well for how to grow mushrooms. I actually don't know why it's not up. I can't figure out how to put it up. I need to put it up because it was recorded and I don't think I've had it live on there. But it's how to grow mushrooms in a mono tub. And so I am actually just starting a grow along, which unfortunately missed the cutoff for it. But I'll do it regularly. I partner with Washington Mushroom Co., and he just sends out the grain bags, and I've got the cocoa coir, the vermiculite. That big bag right there is like a 50-pound bag of vermiculite for growing mushrooms. And yeah, it's fun. I love it. I love mushrooms. I've been doing microdose capsules. Well, I haven't since I've been sick. I did one while I was sick, and I had too much niacin, and I got all red and itchy while I was super sick. And I was like, oh no, this is terrible. This is awful. I felt like I had a fever on the inside and tiger balm inside my skin. And so I haven't taken any microdose capsules since I've been sick, but I will start them again because it really helps me be a better person and like more focused and creative, and creates better habits by, allowing my brain to be more plastic. And so I really want to get back into doing yoga regularly. I was like an intense yogi for years, and since I've had a child, I haven't been practicing a lot of yoga, like maybe a couple times a month, and that's something I'd like to do. So, what is your show schedule gonna be? Anything regular? What do you mean? I do this every Thursday. Um, you were a raindrop the other day, T-Mac. That's amazing. I love what mushrooms can do to your mind. Rusty Nails, I go live every Thursday at 5 on YouTube now, and Sundays I drop a video at 9 a.m. And then if you do my Patreon, I do a class every Tuesday, and it's a lot more organized, like with the recipe and an article, and it like more, not, I mean, obviously I have tangents and I go off on things in Patreon, but consider signing up for the Patreon if you want a regular class, a weekly class. What did we talk about last week? You guys, I can't even remember. Oh, we talked about clones. Yes. Midnight Samurai and Cat Lady were there, and we did how optimal cloning. So I did a sneak peek preview of my article I wrote for Seedsman, and we went through the whole cloning process and talked about the plant hormones involved and tips and tricks for optimizing your clone, and in all different scenarios: rock wool, root cubes, oasis cubes, soil, cloning machines. Yeah, it was fun. And teachers like videos they can put in their lessons. Yes, they do. In my classes, I usually have a video from like a university or a person with a PhD that knows more than I do about whatever it is I'm teaching, like the neuroplasticity class on microdosing mushrooms. I taught a class on how to use mushrooms, not just fucking growing them, but how to use them for medicine, not just to trip. I mean, I love tripping, don't get me wrong, not so much since I'm a mom because I don't have time for that, but how to form habits and harness the power of mushrooms for every day, and not just mushrooms. That's just one part of the toolbox. The whole class was on neuroplasticity, so it was far beyond just mushrooms. It was microdosing combined with meditation and breath work and exercise, and how to achieve your optimal self, right? Because that's what we're all your Rusty Nails is too old and retired, it's too set in your ways. Well, feel free to just join me every Thursday at 5 on YouTube, and we're gonna end this soon because it's past 6 o'clock and I haven't eaten yet. I made bone broth all day today while I was out sledding, so I just tried something new with the bone broth. I've heard that if you roast the chicken carcass before making the stock, that it has a richer flavor. So I roasted the bones first and then put it in to the crock pot with the garlic and the onions and the carrots and the celery. And then I'm making a pureed butternut squash soup tonight. So I have to actually do that. But before we go, I will answer any last questions and give you guys some exciting updates. Let's see here. I would like to grow some. Will they make extra CO2 for my grow room? I grow in 3/10 in a 12 by 16 room. They will not make that much CO2. I bought like these mycelium exhale bags that were supposed to be, I got like the biggest ones for the area, and I got 2 of them, and we put them up in the indoor that's like 8 by 16, so pretty similar in size, and they really don't do much. I think the CO2 in there is like 400 ppm, so it's not significant. And yes, what you think new triploids by Humboldt. Okay, drum roll. I am launching a new podcast that will be launching in March. I have partnered with the Humboldt Seed Company to provide seeds for a live citizen science project / grow along that will follow the podcast. This is the first time I'm completely telling everyone, but Cat Lady is my producer and behind the scenes badass friend who's helping producing this and making everything possible. And Humboldt Seed Company is donating seeds and partnering for the first episode. So you guys can sign up. You'll get seeds, and we're going to be marketing and trying to help promote the triploids. But we're also launching a citizen science project that is going to collect data on growing in different regions according to the latitude and hardiness zone, because as I was talking to Ben, one of the owners of Humboldt Seed Company, he'd been thinking this as well, and he's also a really great friend of mine. We lived in the same neighborhood, Big Dope Valley. And why don't cannabis seeds have planting dates outside? So if you guys want to participate in this um, citizen science project, we haven't nailed down the name yet, and we're working on, Cat Lady's helping with well, she's doing it, the online sign up website thing, because she's so great at that. And exactly, prohibition land. That's why we don't have this information on our seed packets, but we should. I've been talking about this for years. It's like, why don't we have gardening zones for growing weed outside that takes into account the latitude? So, like, whomever, I can't remember, Golden maybe something, was talking about living near the equator. What strains should he grow? Well, it would make it so much easier if we had a database of our zones that was accompanying all of these different seeds, so you could know what strains are going to grow well in your area. Like for me, I planted stuff that didn't flower for a fucking ever, and different strains are going to be more sensitive to the amount of darkness. And so having this like citizen science project where we can collect data is not only going to help breeders, but it's going to help all of us. And so this year we are beta testing the data collection. And so to incentivize you guys to continue submitting data, we're going to have like prizes at the end for like the underdog, like the person who went through the most problems but achieved a harvest at the end. Maybe if we can get I talked to a guy who was a doctor, Gary, in Spain, about like this passport, like through a genomic lab that would test your cannabis and tell you about the lineage and if there's pathogens or viruses, but also like, terpenes, and getting like that molecular information on your seeds. And then like, it's just amazing. There's so many different things going on. So I am, I'm just really fucking excited. So sign up if you want to. Um, Listen to the podcast, and as the podcast goes along, it's going to be following the entire thing, that's this whole project, and this is like the beta for the first year, and we're hoping to just like turn it into something like maybe a nonprofit, or I don't know, just keep on learning and educating and sharing. And I'm just super excited for this. I've already interviewed Jorge Cervantes. He's promoting it, partnered with Humboldt Seed Company. Seedsman's obviously going to help support it. I had an interview with Cannabichem with the network of applied pharmacognosy. I've got a bunch of episodes. Jeff Lowenfels I'm interviewing next week. I can't even believe it. I mean, it's going to be freaking awesome to have all of these people that I admire come together on this project. And it's something that I've been thinking about for a long time and trying to figure out how to do it. And I'm at the point where it's like the paralysis analysis is over, and I'm not going to wait. I'm just going to go for it and try it. And if it, we'll learn this year and then make it better the next year and better the next year. And so this is the first time I'm telling anybody live or in general. Like I don't even think I've told all my patrons yet. So but yes, he got back to me. It's Midnight Samurai. He did. And we're down for Wednesday at 4:30. So I'll be interviewing him then. Ben from Humboldt Seed Company is meeting me on Monday for his interview. It's just going to be great. And we're going to have roundtable like discussions for people who are participating in the grow along to be able to share. We'll have the Discord server with specific channels, and we can Zoom or Riverside, whatever fucking software, with like Humboldt Seed Company and Jorge Cervantes, and they're all willing to help me out doing this and meet with y'all or people who are participating in this citizen science project to answer questions and just talk about it. And it's going to be really cool. I'm so excited. And let me catch up with the chat because I was just getting word vomit because I'm just so excited about this project. Not a fan of Ethos. Okay, I'm not sure. Never grown anything from them. Man, this sounds great. Thank you, John Scott. I'm so excited. So you can stay tuned to that. And Golden Robert says trying living soil and feeding aquarium freshwater. Awesome. You should definitely follow Steve Reisner, even though because he does a lot of aquaponic stuff. And wish I could get the paperwork. Sounds dope. I don't know what that means, what paperwork, but I wish you could too, man. Fucking paperwork, fucking paper pushers. So thank you guys. Sunday, I'm making that video. Stay tuned. I'll be back next Thursday. I should have a video on YouTube with more information about the Grow Along Citizen Science Project soon-ish. My goal is like by the end of the month to get people ready and able to sign up. Hi, baby! And my son is in here, so I am going to go make him dinner. And yes, good night, everybody. Thank you, thank you. Good night from Greenie Jean. Good night. And see y'all next week.